Hi everyone, I'm super excited to have Karan here today, who is a former student at 3T Institute. And I'm super excited for Karan to share his experience of obtaining the PMP certification and what he's doing today with the 3 letters that he has earned for himself that are now after his name. So all of that soon, but first, Karan, please introduce yourself to our audience. Tell us a little bit about what you do and what excites you about the work and the field of project management.
Thanks, Coach, for that introduction. So, hey everyone, my name is Karan. I'm currently working as a senior project manager at Walmart headquarters in Bentonville, Arkansas. I recently joined this role in the month of April after getting my PMP certification. So, yes, PMP can get you to big places. Prior to that, coming to my educational background, I do have a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering, and I do have a master's degree in industrial and systems engineering. Most of you will think like what I'm doing in the field of program management with an engineering background. That's not true. Program management is a vast background. You can be anyone and still become a good PM. And for that, all you need is to be able to understand the concepts and everything. And PMP helps a lot for that. I would say PMP is similar to getting an MBA degree, but it just prepares you to get ready for what's out there and how to tackle the known PM issues, how a PM should operate in an environment, and whatever comes, you have an understanding for to tackle those issues. I think that should be good for now.
That was a great introduction, and thank you for talking about your title and then how that aligns to project management, because it is true in every industry there's project management, even in certain, I would say, jobs where you would think, I don't need to know project management, it's still utilized. So it is one of those concepts and standards that it truly exists, and no matter where we go in every corporation and industry. So thank you so much for clarifying that.
Yes.
So Karen, talk a little bit about your journey of obtaining the PMP certification. But first, how did you even hear about it? How did you know about it? And then what was the journey like of obtaining the cert?
For sure. So when I graduated my graduate school in 2017, I did started working for an automotive manufacturing firm. It is a tier one supplier for the two automotive giants, Mercedes-Benz and BMW. So my first 3 years into my role, I was an automotive project manager for Mercedes-Benz cars. And so I do had the technical knowledge which comes from an engineering about the manufacturing and the automotive role. And I was just added upon a responsibility for a project manager. So I was new to this field and I was started gaining knowledge. So Google is my go-to friend. So I did use the search bar a lot and then tried searching, okay, how should a project management manager work and what tasks are there and how and what's critical for the project to move forward. So while doing this on and on, I think I thought I got good with project management. So there came a point in my career where I got stuck. So I wanted to move to a newer field. I wanted to go explore what's out there. I did wanted to see how the big tech firm works and how the work is done there. So I started applying for jobs. And while I was applying for jobs, every big firm had a criteria for a project manager role, like a PMP certification is required. And why I was applying for only program manager roles? Because while working in my previous role as a project manager, I thought it's exciting. Like you get to work as a team, you get to handle a lot more areas, a lot more people, a lot more functional teams. So it's you just get an all-round experience of everything going on, and you don't stick to a certain product. Like when you launch a product or when you launch something, you just move on and you just take up the next challenge, and it just keeps going and going. So you are not stuck at a position or at a product or at a role. You just get to learn all the new technological things. The good thing about being a tech PM is like whatever newer technologies are rolling out into the future, it may be the artificial intelligence, it may be the autonomous driving, or it may be any new technology like the metaverse, whatever is coming. The program managers, the tech program managers get to handle it firsthand, make sure it's a huge success before rolling it out to the mass people or the mass production, as I would like to say. So going on all of these, so I did look it up. Like I had no idea what PMP was, so I did look it up on PMP, and Majuba and her team. I did found them on LinkedIn, and as a working professional, uh, also being a single professional, you have to handle all the house chores and you have to handle all the work and everything along. So you need that guidance to walk you through, to help you succeed in your PMP. And time is also the constraint, so you don't want to spend like an year or like 6 months to get those PMPs. So if you want to save time, are uh, if you have the goal in mind that yes, PMP is my goal and I need to achieve that, then that's when I decided to join the 3T Institute class, and it has been a good journey. I remember joining, I was provided with all the materials, educational materials, even the PMBOK guide. But 3T Institute has their own guide, which is based on the PMBOK. So I literally didn't feel the need to probably go and look at the actual PMBOK guide. So, uh, and the syllabus were good. Majuba was always available to take the calls, to answer all the questions. I remember we do have like a weekly sessions with the teams and
Yes,
everything, where
yes.
my fellow classmates were used to have their questions and Madhuba used to address them. So that helps everyone, right? So okay, I'm not faced that question. Oh, but this person faced this problem, and then okay, this is how we should tackle it, and it just makes us ready for the examinations. I believe the exam is overhyped. That it's difficult. You won't clear it, but with the right attitude and with the right training and with the right mindset, it's possible.
Yeah, and you did such a good job, Karan. Like, I remember when we were working together, you were probably like the easiest person to work with. And I still give your example because you're one of my students who would get above 80% in the mock exams, which the mock exams are very difficult. And what I always say is that if you average around 65%, 58%, I'm happy with that. And so, Karan, your scores would come in like the 70, higher 70s, higher 80s. I think even one mock exam was in the 90s. And I was like, oh my God, you definitely took the standard and really understood it. The way you studied and your discipline was amazing. Definitely an example for a lot of people that, I utilize that. I just say, listen, if you truly, like you said, the mindset is key and just follow the process and you will score and remove every other negative thought that comes in your mind. And I saw you do that and you scored really high. And I knew when you had scheduled your exams that Karan's gonna pass, and you passed above target in every single process group. And of course, I wasn't surprised. Like, I knew it because you were scoring so well on the mocks to begin with.
Yeah, and to be honest, the credit goes to you and the team with the material and how easily it's explained, like the recordings and everything, so you can just go through them at your own pace, and then there will be the quizzes to help to get your understanding on it. So I literally didn't find any way to there are any books, more recommended books, like I do remember one is like Rita's something, so I didn't didn't purchase any other book. I didn't touch any other study material. I was like, okay, let me have my blind faith in this. I'm seeing the results, and the mock exams were very helpful at the very end. Yes.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And hopefully it helps others who are nervous test takers who can say, there's a system, and if I just follow the system, I know that I will succeed and I will pass. So thank you for sharing that. I know at the beginning of our conversation, you talked about how the certification has helped you in the field of project management. Would you say that today in your role, do you see a direct correlation between the standards and some things that you are seeing on projects?
Yes, there is absolutely definitely a standard correlation because the way in the big organizations, why do they need a person who has a PMP certification? It's because the PMP certification says everything in its book, and the textbook has it's like the textbook of PM. So what you need to do, how the processes could flow, and how the different stage gates are there, and what you will do in critical thinking. So you need that critical approach and critical thinking and the critical mindset at the right time. Like, hey, how do you tackle this? And hey, what are the risks? How do you mitigate the risk? What will be your contingency plans for those risks? So a good PM, in my opinion, will always have those ready in his books even before the project starts. There is a lot of work that's required pre-project. I would like to say that when the project charter is developed, you do have to prepare a ton of other materials like risk. Communication plan is the most important of them all, like the right communication. In my opinion, you won't get an idea of all this without studying and getting a PMP. Like it helps you move to that path. Like communication is everything. Like how you prepare the communication plan, how you communicate with all the responsible stakeholders, the high level stakeholders which has a say in the projects, the project sponsors, creating the RACI matrix and everything, so everyone is correctly aligned and everything. So a normal person without a PMP wouldn't have that understanding, in my opinion. So that's how a PMP does help tackle those issues.
I absolutely agree. I think prior to getting the PMP myself, I was doing project management. I was working on projects, but I truly didn't understand the full life cycle of a project and, say, a product. It was when I enrolled in a project management certification training course that it gave me the true insight of the initiating, planning, executing, monitoring, controlling, and closing, what that really means, and how do we deliver value to our customers. So that was so valuable. And in today's training, the PMP has changed, actually, Karan, since you took it, because now what they've included is 50% agile
Right.
versus before it used to be 25%. So now you're really learning about how do we deliver projects in a waterfall environment, and then how do we deliver projects in an agile environment, which means you're more open to change. You're open to requirements where the customer can say, you know what, for the next sprint, I think let's prioritize the next set of requirements. Well, how do you deliver value in either environment, which is so important for a project manager to be flexible. And that flexibility only comes with knowledge, because if you don't have the knowledge, then how are you going to guide your team, your customer, your key stakeholders, like you mentioned?
Correct. And to add to that, the one important thing I started doing after my PMP is like the lessons learned. Before PMP, I didn't know what lessons learned are, so the mistakes were repeating, and the other PMs also get a lot of help from lessons learned. So everyone has access to the lessons learned, and once you close a project, it's very important for us to complete the lessons learned. I believe like when you complete the lessons learned, then only you should close the project. And it only not helps you, it helps your organization by providing access of it to the other PMs to look forward, like, hey, okay, so this project manager working on this project and they had this issue, and then how did they tackle this issue. So that was an important add-on as well.
Yes, I love lessons learned, and it's great to write down information right as you learn a lesson, or you say, you know what, we did something a certain way, but it took us 3 weeks. However, if we were to utilize a tool or a software or bring in a subject matter expert, then we would have reduced our time to 7 days. And so we know in project management, time, cost is everything, right? And so we always want to be on schedule. We want to be under budget if possible, and of course, deliver everything that our customer wants. So great point there. Thank you,
Yeah.
Kara.
Mhm.
What advice do you have for those that want to obtain their PMP certification in terms of the process, but also the value? What advice would you give them?
So my first advice is to be like just stick to this just stick to your goals first. Have it in mind, like write it down on your bedroom wall or somewhere, like, hey, this is my goal. I need to have my PMP done by, let's say, December or January, and then start working towards it. Start developing your schedule, like, okay, you don't have to put in a lot of efforts, like 1 hour a day, and then probably some few hours on the weekends where you don't have to work from 8 to 5 or anything else. So that should help. And then get a coach, like I got Majuba and her 3T Institute, which will guide you in the correct direction. Google is always there, but I believe there are some questions which Google doesn't even have an answer, and there will be multiple answers, and it will not provide you with a answer which you are expecting and moving it to the right direction. So I would definitely like to encourage everyone to at least join a coaching institute. And in my opinion, I couldn't find a better coaching institute than 3T Institute. So the material, you will get the material. You just have to stick to it, stick to the plan, and stick to the process, and you should be able to get all the results. Also, I would like to mention that when you give the mock exams, it's very important to go back and review those exams and review the solutions, like where you went wrong. If And in that, where a coach comes into play, like there will be some straightforward questions, but the answers could be challenging, or there will be a trick assigned to it, or something will be there. So that's where a coach can help you address those issues and help you understand, like, why is this a solution for this problem.
Yeah, thank you. That is exactly what we tell our students. Going back and reviewing the mock exam, seeing where your errors are, and to say, is it a definition that I don't understand, or is it a process? Because at the end of the day, in order to pass the PMP exam, you have to learn the standards based on the PMBOK Guide 6th edition. Now, how you apply those to the real world comes after you get your PMP, because we know this, right, Karan? Like in the real world, project management is done a million different ways.
Correct.
And so the PMP exam does not test your knowledge of real world project management. It actually tests your knowledge based on the PMBOK guide. And so
Correct.
learn it in that way, understand it in that way, and then how you use it in the real world, that will be something you can decide after you get your PMP.
That's correct. It does make you ready. Like,
Mhm.
it's similar to what education you learn in universities. It's not how the real world works, but still it makes you ready for that. You do have a background and you do have an understanding. And most important is the mindset, like you are prepared for it. So even if you want, like, okay, you have the material, you have the mindset to tackle these problems. So you will always find yourself in the right direction. And mistakes, keep making mistakes. I would like to say, like, if you're not making mistakes, that means you're not doing it right. A person has to keep making mistakes, and most important thing is to learn from those mistakes, so you don't repeat that. And that's how I think life works.
Wow, that is the best advice I've ever heard. And I love the way you put it. Keep on making mistakes. If you're not making mistakes, there's something wrong. I love that. I love that. And that's something I'm so glad they get to hear it from someone who passed the PMP exam above target in all domains. But you're also someone who just put so much dedication into your goals. So And I appreciate that you're sharing your voice today because it matters. Other people are going to hear this and say, I can do it. I just need to make it a goal for myself.
Correct. Yeah.
Anything else, Karan, that you'd like to share? Anything exciting that might be going on in your life? Anything else that you'd like to share? Or if someone has questions, can they contact you on LinkedIn, possibly?
Perfect. Yeah. If someone has any questions, LinkedIn has been like it's the Instagram for us. Like influencers have Instagram, we have LinkedIn, right? So everyone can reach out to us on LinkedIn, and I would be happy to answer everyone or anyone that has doubts, questions in their career path or how they want to move forward. And I would be happy to. So I believe you do have my LinkedIn profile. So feel free to share my LinkedIn with the students or with the others. So and I would be happy to answer all the questions that come along.
Thank you, Karan. Thank you for taking the time. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and your experience. We love that you are a 3T Institute alumni and that we continue to use you as an example of someone who was so dedicated to their goals. And we look forward to having you in more, hopefully, video interviews. But for today, thank you so much and have an amazing week.
Thank you. It was my pleasure. Thank you. You too.
Thank you.